Even like Shakur. You know, I had a chance to train him the other day in the gym. Shakur is an amazing fighter.
Floyd Mayweather Jr. praised Shakur Stevenson for recently training with him, calling him an exceptional fighter. The endorsement fueled discussion around Floyd's belief that Shakur has the skills and discipline to defeat Teofimo Lopez. After Floyd's praise set the tone, another elite voice from boxing made his stance crystal clear. Terrence Crawford had no doubts about Shakur. He stated, "Y'all already know, nobody beat Shakur. I'm saying Shakur beat everybody. It doesn't matter who it is. Shakur beating them. It doesn't matter. Shakur over everybody, that's how it's gonna be." Crawford wasn't speaking as a fan, he was speaking as someone who has been at the very top of the sport. His confidence sounded firm, like it came from seeing something special up close. To him, Shakur's discipline, timing, and control separate him from the rest of the pack. There was no hesitation or conditions attached to his words. It felt like a statement of fact rather than an opinion. When praise like this comes right after Floyd's endorsement, it shows how highly respected Shakur Stevenson already is among boxing's elite. As opinions continued to stack up from fighters and insiders, the discussion took a more balanced and grounded turn. This time, the perspective came from a respected voice who has seen countless elite matchups unfold.
I still think it's 50-50, but the more people I talk to about it do think that Shakur has the edge here, that he's going to be tough to beat. So as I've been taking the temperature of the knowledge of the people that I know, they have Teofimo as a little bit of an underdog, but we'll see. It's another great fight between two really leaders in their weight division and pound for pound greats.
Jimmy Lennon Jr. Jimmy's take brought a sense of realism into an already heated debate. Rather than leaning fully to one side, he highlighted just how close this matchup really is. There was a clear sense that momentum is slowly shifting, even if the fight still feels wide open on paper. The growing belief around Shakur didn't come from hype, but from quiet confidence shared behind the scene. At the same time, Teofimo being labeled an underdog only adds more danger to the fight. With two leaders of the division standing across from each other, the tension keeps rising. It now feels like one of those fights where opinions will end and answers will come only inside the ring. After hearing how different styles could collide, conversation shifted to a voice that knows pressure fighting and big nights up close. Henry Garcia weighed in with a take that adds a serious "what happens when the heat turns up" feeling to this matchup.
That would be good. That would be something that's something that it'd be perfect for both of them. Teo likes to fight, he likes to come forward, and Shakur, I know he runs around a lot, but he also likes to fight, when the time's right, he does fight. But when you have somebody pressuring him and all that, that's something that is yet to be seen. And I think Teo can be that person.
His viewpoint makes the fight feel like a real test, not just a talent showcase. The big question becomes how Shakur looks when someone refuses to give him space and keeps forcing exchanges. That's where the drama lives, because pressure can make even the most technical fighters adjust in ways we haven't seen. He points to the kind of opponent who doesn't come to play it safe and will make every second uncomfortable. And once that pace is set, the fight can swing fast, round by round, mistake by mistake. It leaves you with that suspenseful feeling that this one could reveal a new side of Shakur under the brightest lights. Then the tone got bigger, less about one fight and more about the whole division turning into a minefield of blockbuster matchups. From that angle, Henry Garcia painted a picture that makes fans feel like anything could happen once these names start crossing paths.
Well, if he's going to be the Teo that we know, you got to be ready for it, because this guy, he's just he's a warrior. I mean, I'm telling you, these fighters they're all there. I mean, everybody's gonna get excited. You got everybody there. I mean, it's across the board. It's like, just pick one. Everything's a good matchup. And people are gonna be excited for these fights, because they're gonna say, wow, man, this is something that I've always wanted to see. Just like basketball, you always want, these players to play this player, or this team to play this team. I mean, it's good matchups.
He frames it like the kind of era where you can't hide behind matchmaking anymore. Every possible pairing feels dangerous, and that's exactly why the excitement keeps building. When fighters show up with the right mindset, the skill level is so high that one moment can flip everything. There's also a sense that fans have been waiting years to see certain names finally clash for real. That anticipation turns each announcement into an event, and each round ground into a pressure cooker. If the division keeps moving in this direction, we're not just getting good fights, we're getting nights that people will replay for years. Right after breaking down Shakur's patient defense-first style, the focus moved from what he does to why it's so hard to deal with. That's where Brooke Mullen stepped in with a sharp, fight-smart read.
That would be good. That would be something that's, you know, something that it'd be perfect for both of them. You know, Teo likes to fight, you know. He likes to come forward, you know, and Shakur, you know, I know he runs around a lot, you know, but he also likes to fight, you know, when the time's right, you know, he does fight. But when you have somebody pressuring him and all that, that's something that is yet to be seen. And I think Teo can be that person.
This angle makes the matchup feel like a chess game with real danger behind every move. It highlights how Shakur can slow a fight down without ever looking rushed. The suspense comes from knowing Teofimo thrives on rhythm and momentum, and Shakur's style is built to break both. One clean moment can steal a round, and a few stolen rounds can flip the whole fight. The crowd might be loud, but the real story could be the quiet control happening in front of them. And if Shakur sets that tone early, Teofimo may be forced into risks he doesn't want to take. Then the talk shifted from style to strategy. Speed versus calculation, explosiveness versus control. With that theme building, Brooke Mullen added a take that makes the matchup feel even tighter.
Who you like in that fight?
Shakur.
Of course.
I think Teofimo's fast, he's athletic, but Shakur is definitely way more calculated. And the calculation can stop that speed on any given day, 100%. And he's definitely, I don't think he's gonna necessarily stop Teofimo, but he's gonna box his head off in circles.
Mullen perspective frames Shakur as the kind of fighter who can turn fast into frustrated. It suggests that even if Teofimo brings quickness and athletic bursts, it may not matter if the timing gets taken away. The tension rises because the fight becomes about who can impose their pace first. If Shakur starts reading the patterns, those explosive moments can start getting picked off. That's when the crowd feels it, when the speed looks less scary and the control looks more powerful. By the middle rounds, the fight could look completely different than it did at the opening bell. After predicting a calm start and a sharper finish, the conversation turned into something more dangerous. The idea that the fight could suddenly change in one sequence.
I think at first he's gonna play it cool the first couple of rounds until he figures them out, and then, like I said, I think he's gonna dance around them.
Yeah. Is a stoppage on the table, bro?
I don't know. I'm not sure about that.
Thrill comes from the moment that switch could flip, when the fighter who looked relaxed suddenly looks aggressive and precise. If Teofimo gets impatient, that impatience can create openings that weren't there before. And once openings appear, the fight can speed up fast. It leaves you watching every exchange like it might be the one that changes everything. Finally, the breakdown got more detailed. Round by round habits, the tools Shakur builds with, and how the fight might evolve as time passes.
Oh, I mean, he's gonna stick that jab out there. That's like, what, first 3 rounds, first 2-3 rounds, he's gonna stick that jab out, he's gonna move around, he's gonna figure him out, and then he's gonna start timing him. Throwing that right hand, left hook, and putting his combinations together, but I think his defense is gonna win this fight 100%.
In that moment, Brooke Mullen leaned into the kind of prediction that makes fans picture the fight playing out live. She suggests Shakur's early approach could be about control, setting distance, denying clean looks, and staying safe while he studies. The suspense is in the when. When does the timing start landing, and when does Teofimo start forcing it? Once the counters begin to land clean, confidence can swing instantly. That's also where defense becomes offense, because frustration can lead to mistakes. If the fight reaches that stage, it won't just be about who hits harder. It'll be about who stays smarter under pressure. With the debate getting louder,
Floyd, when you think about the fighters who are fighting now, can you give me your 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 when it comes to the lightweight? Who you would put where?
As of right now, the 2 guys, the biggest puncher, I feel at the 135 will probably be Gervonta Tank Davis. But the most skillful fighter at 135 will be hands down Shakur Stevenson.
Spotlight turned back to a voice that carries serious weight in boxing. When Floyd Mayweather Jr. talks about skill, people listen because he's lived that level of greatness. His take pushes the conversation into a different lane, where the focus isn't power or hype, but pure ability. It raises the stakes because it suggests Shakur's advantage isn't small. It's the kind that can decide fights before they get chaotic. The suspense comes from imagining what happens when the most skilled guy has to prove it against a dangerous opponent who won't back up. If Shakur controls the range, the fight could start looking one-sided in a way fans didn't expect. But if the other guy forces messy moments, that's where greatness gets tested. Either way, a statement like this makes the matchup feel bigger, like we're watching a real measuring stick moment. Then the conversation got even deeper, shifting from who wins to what kind of fighter is Shakur becoming. In that part of the discussion, Floyd Mayweather Jr. made a comparison that instantly raises eyebrows for any real boxing fan.
What is it about him? Because I know you have a lot of good attributes, but do you think he has enough power to sustain?
Well, it's really all about skills. Pernell Whitaker wasn't a huge puncher, but he was, very exciting, very tough, and he fought everybody. Shakur is trying to do the same thing. He want to fight the best they got out there.
This kind of talk adds thrill because it places Shakur in the same breath as a defensive legend, and that's a heavy expectation. It also frames his career as more than just careful boxing. It's about proving it against real names and real pressure. The suspense is in whether Shakur can keep that sharpness when the level keeps rising. Fans start thinking about the moments where style meets chaos, when the opponent is fast, strong, and willing to take risks. If Shakur stays calm and keeps solving problems in real time, it strengthens the idea that he's special, but if he slips even once, the whole narrative can flip, and that's what makes this build-up so intense. At this point, the talk stopped being about headlines and started sounding like real fight study. Tim Bradley zoomed in on one detail that can quietly decide a fight before the big punches even land.
This fight right here is gonna be about feet. That's what it's gonna be about. And Tim, what do you mean by that? Feet. One thing you gotta understand about boxing, right, is you can, punches gotta be thrown, I get that, you understand that, but it's the feet is what gets you in position to be able to land those shots. Footwork is extremely important. When I look at both these guys, and I look at Shakur's footwork, I look at Teo's footwork, and what I noticed about Teo's footwork in particular is that in order to be able to throw the amount of power that he has, I've noticed with Teo, there's always a subtle pause before he actually explodes. And Teo's a guy that likes to explode into contact, like to explode into his opponents, man, to land his offense. Fast, twitchy type muscles, fibers, he's extremely fast.
His breakdown makes you picture the fight like a fast-moving puzzle where every step matters. It's not just about who hits harder, it's about who gets to the right spot first. That's where tension builds, because one small mistake in movement can turn into a clean shot. He highlights patterns that most fans miss in real time, and that makes the matchup feel even more high level. You start wondering who will control the space and who will be forced to chase. And once a fighter starts chasing, the fight can slip away round by round without anyone noticing. Then the focus shifted from raw speed to control, the kind of control that makes a dangerous fighter look ordinary. In that part of the conversation, Tim Bradley explained why this matchup could come down to who wins the positioning battle.
This fight right here is going to be about feet. That's what it's going to be about. And Tim, what do you mean by that? Feet. One thing you got to understand about boxing, right, is you can, punches got to be thrown, I get that, you understand that, but it's the feet is what gets you in position to be able to land those shots. Footwork is extremely important. When I look at both these guys, and I look at Shakur's footwork, I look at Teo's footwork, and what I noticed about Teo's footwork in particular is that in order to be able to throw the amount of power that he has, I've noticed with Teo, there's always a subtle pause before he actually explodes. And Teo's a guy that likes to explode into contact, like to explode into his opponents, man, to land his offense. Fast, twitchy type muscles, fibers. You know, he's extremely fast.
He adds suspense because it suggests the real fight might happen in the gaps between exchanges. It's about taking away options, making the opponent reach, and turning aggression into wasted energy. The thrilling part is imagining Teofimo trying to explode into range while Shakur keeps pulling the floor out from under him. When that happens, you get those moments where a fighter swings and the air answers back. Over time, missing doesn't just cost points, it can drain confidence. And if Shakur gets him thinking instead of reacting, the whole fight starts tilting in a quiet but deadly way. After that, the conversation moved to Teofimo's tools, not the flashy shots, but the ones he uses to build momentum. Tim Bradley pointed out why the early choices Teofimo makes could shape the entire rhythm of this fight.
However, he's in there with a guy that is a master at controlling distance. That's he's a master at literally, you know, getting in his position, right, in the position where he wants to be and taking away your positioning. And with doing so, he takes away your feet, you know, and that's why I think feet are going to be extremely important in this. You know, if you can keep your opponent off balance, for instance, let me just give you an example. It's like Teo explodes. There's a subtlety before he explodes with his offense. And as soon as Shakur sees that, he's anticipating something to come. He knows he's going to explode in. So what does Shakur do? Teo takes a big step in, Shakur takes a big step back. You know, again, always understanding because he has great eyes, you know, great eyes, understands boxing very well and movements. And Shakur is going to step out of range and make Teo fall short a lot of the time.
Tim makes it feel like Teofimo can't afford a slow start because he needs something to touch first and build from there. If he can't establish that rangefinder, the rest of his offense becomes easier to read. That's where the suspense lives. Will he find a way in, or will Shakur keep him guessing all night? The bodywork becomes more than just damage. It becomes a way to claim space and force reactions. But the risk is real because every time he commits, Shakur can answer back with timing. And in a fight this technical, one repeated pattern can turn into a trap. As the breakdown reached the later rounds, the stakes felt even higher because that's where toughness meets precision. Tim Bradley painted a picture of a fight that could stay tense all the way to the finish, even if one guy is edging it. This view builds thrill because it suggests the fight may look controlled, but never truly safe. If Teofimo starts pushing harder late, that pressure can create chaos.
Teo likes to, you know, and I noticed now, I've been watching a lot of him, man. That's all I've been doing is just watching Teo and Shakur. You know, I've noticed that he likes to jab to the body. You know, one of the things is like, in order to find your timing, you know, you gotta be able to land your jab. And if you can't land it up top, you know, the biggest surface to hit is the body. And I noticed that Teo likes to start low. You know, he'll flick jabs up top, but he likes to start low. And he will do it against orthodox fighters, and he will do it against southpaw fighters as well. You know, I've seen him do it both. And he's going to be looking to land those particular shots, which is a straight jab and also the right hand downstairs. Okay, he understands that he needs to break these guys down to the body. Not only that, but also be able to land his shots to be able to catch his rhythm and catch his time.
And chaos is where big moments happen. At the same time, it sets up the idea that Shakur might show more layers than people expect, not just moving, but also making statements in exchanges. The suspense comes from waiting for that shift, the moment when Shakur stops reacting and starts taking over. Late rounds can make fighters desperate, and desperate fighters take risks. And if those risks meet sharp timing, the ending can feel sudden, even in a technical fight. Now the discussion moved from analysts and legends to someone who actually shared the ring with Shakur. Oscar Valdez gave a fighter's perspective, the kind that hits different because it's built on real experience. Hearing it from an opponent adds instant suspense because it's not theory anymore. It's what it feels like in real time. This angle makes the matchup sound less like a brawl and more like a high-speed mind game.
You know, I see Lopez having to come on very strong and hard at the end. But again, I think Shakur is going to be brilliant in this fight, man. I think we're going to see the complete package. And I think that we may see even times where Shakur will come forward, man. He will. Shakur will make you pay for your deficiencies after you punch and right before you punch. He will, you know. Anything else for the good and well-being, man? Let me see. I'm just thinking. Teo will need to go to the body. We'll have to find a way to go to the body for sure. But no, I see a distance fight. I see a very technical fight, and I see Shakur winning this fight very comfortably, man. I do. I see him winning this fight very comfortably.
It also suggests why predicting this fight is so risky. One small adjustment could swing an entire round. When a fighter is hard to find clean, you start forcing shots, and forced shots create openings. That's where the thrill comes in, the moment one guy gets impatient and the other guy makes him pay. It sets up the fight as one of those nights where the scorecards might come down to tiny moments you barely notice. After that, the conversation shifted to something bigger than one matchup: Shakur's physical presence and how far his talent could really stretch. From that viewpoint, Oscar Valdez highlighted why Shakur might be a problem for more than just this division.
Fought Shakur, and he's a hard guy to hit. You know, it looks very simple, but it's not. But I've seen Teofimo train before. He's a complete athlete. So if I'm being very honest, man, it's a 50-50 fight. It's a stay away bet for me. I wouldn't bet either or, because you never know what's gonna happen on that chess game, because that's what it's gonna be. It's gonna be a chess game inside that ring.
This kind of take adds a new layer of intrigue because it talks about Shakur as a long-term threat, not just a one-night challenge. It suggests he isn't just surviving at this weight, he's growing into it. When a fighter carries skill and size together, the pressure on opponents changes fast. It also builds suspense around the future because fans start imagining him against bigger names and bigger bodies. If he's already tough to deal with here, what happens when he's fully settled into his frame? That thought alone makes the current fight feel like a checkpoint in a much larger story. As all these voices come together, fighters, legends, analysts, and opponents, one thing becomes clear.
Shakur's he's big for that division. He's coming from 126, but I can easily see him go to 147 and still give people some problems. So
this isn't just another big fight, it's a real test of levels. Every breakdown points to a battle of brains, movement, and timing, where small details could decide everything. That's what makes it exciting, because even when one fighter looks in control, the danger is always there. This feels like the kind of fight where one moment can flip the story completely. So here's the real question: can Teofimo force chaos and break Shakur's rhythm, or will Shakur control the distance and slowly take over? Will this turn into a chess match all the way to the final bell, or will someone create a moment that no one sees coming? And if Shakur wins, does this prove he's truly on a different level, or does it just open the door to even bigger challenges? Let us know what you think in the comment section below. Who are you picking and why? Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and tune in for more videos like this.